it for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K,
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs!
And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Wednesday, December 4th. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you very much for watching us on YouTube, and thank you very much for watching us on Facebook. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do so. The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Playground. Step into the world-renowned poker experience at Playground, where free food and drinks, a cash game tables, a bad big jackpot, weekly promotions, daily tournaments, unmatched customer service await you. Why play anywhere else? Just minutes from downtown Montreal, across the Mercier Bridge. Playground. Also brought to you in part by Bittt Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager. It's a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for the cool fall days. Only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can. Available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. Also brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different, a top fleet employer by Forbes as far as transportation is concerned in the country, in Canada. Today is a very important date, December 4th. Why? Because it's today that the rosters were named for Canada, United States, Finland, and Sweden for the Four Nations tourney. Now, in all transparency, so the rosters were named officially for Sweden and for Finland, and at 2:30 p.m., and the rosters named by Canada and the United States at 6:30 p.m. In all transparency, this is taped right before the rosters officially come out for Canada and USA. But once again, in all transparency, here's the deal. The federations had to hand in the rosters on December 2nd. They gave them to the TV crews and TV companies, and some people have them in their hands so that they can prepare all their charts and all their graphics and get all their TV work ready. And a lot of it has been scooped already, and a lot of it has been scooped by some of the great insiders at TSN. Speaking of TSN, he is their hockey analyst and their director of scouting, Craig Budden. How are you?
I am really good. You know, it's exciting. It's exciting for the players, and certainly, we know who the players are on the team, and for Sportsnet and TVA, who had big presentations before their games on Wednesday nights, you get scooped, so to speak, by your competition. And, I really feel for them, because now we get a chance to talk about the players, and we get to debate what we think and what we think they could have done differently, who should be on, who should be off. But the reality of the situation is we know the teams.
We're going to pick up on this a little later on. We're going to go to the Canadiens. What we'll say for now is this. As far as the Montreal Canadiens are concerned, Joel Armia and Patrik Laine will be representing Team Finland. Cole Caufield will not be part of Team USA, unofficially. Nick Suzuki will not be part of Team Canada, unofficially. And Samuel Montembeault will be part of Team Canada unofficially. And once again, I say unofficially because just to cover me as well, you never know here. But once again, the rosters are pretty much out, even though this podcast tonight was taped just before Canada and USA spoke. All right, okay. Let's move on to the Montreal Canadiens, because when the Canadiens acquired Patrik Laine, there was this huge buzz in the city. And when Patrik Laine got hurt in that preseason game, when Paris stuck out his knee, I have to tell you, it felt like a part of the city died, Craig, or at least went to the hospital for a very, very long time. That buzz was gone. There was a lot of disappointment. There was a lot of dejection. There was a lot of, man, they're not going to make the playoffs. Man, they're not even going to be in the mix. There was a lot of, I was so looking forward to watching Laine with the Canadiens, and who knows what's going to happen now. He ended up missing just under 25 games, and he comes back and he plays his first game in about a year because, of course, he was hurt last year with the Columbus Blue Jackets as well, and then he was in the players assistance program and all that stuff, but and he scores on the power play. And I mentioned this last night, and Dick Irvin but I don't think it came from Dick Irvin. I don't know if it came from Scotty Bowman or who it came from, but the term is, or the adage is, great players can do things when you want them to do things. And Patrik Laine wanted to score last night, and his friends and family wanted him to score, and his coach wanted him to score, and his teammates wanted him to score, and the entire fan base wanted to score, and everyone in the building wanted him to score, and everyone watching at home on television or in bars or restaurants or whatever wanted him to score, and he did. He hasn't lost that shot, Craig.
No, I mean, Patrik Laine, from the first day he played in the NHL, showed a real significant ability to score goals prolifically, as a matter of fact. And, you end up getting some injuries like he had last year in Columbus. He goes into the player assistance program. Here, to me, it's great to see him score in his first game for the Montreal Canadiens. It was awesome. But for Patrik Laine to be in a place where he feels so excited, so in a place mentally and now physically after the knee injury that he can come out and perform. Is there any better place to be that player than in Montreal? Where, the flair, the bright lights. Patrik Laine has always shone brightly under those bright lights. I don't know if there's a better introduction to Patrik Laine for Montreal Canadiens fans than what he did in that game. And, when you were talking about when he got injured and the feeling of deflation, it was like one time I was in the Big O watching the Expos, and it was about 32 degrees outside, and they couldn't get the roof open because it had deflated. And they, I think that's the analogy I would use to think about Patrik Laine. And then of course it was about 45 degrees in the Big O, and we didn't make it past the fourth inning. But for Patrik Laine, the excitement that he expressed about being in a great place mentally for himself, and then being in Montreal, number two, I think that we all saw that play out in his first game for the Canadiens on Tuesday night.
Craig sharing one of 587 stories on the roof at Montreal's Olympic Stadium. Oh, that roof, let me tell you. Toronto will always have that on us. I'm telling you, they can always throw the roof back in our face. All right. When the Canadiens acquired him, and, amidst all that excitement, was some of us, I'll actually even say many of us, saying, hold on a second here. Okay, this is great. This is exciting. But knowing that he entered the players assistance program, and knowing his challenges that he's had over the last couple of years, is Montreal really going to be the fit for him? He talked about the excitement of coming to a hockey market, but many of us said, yes, hockey market. Yeah, Winnipeg was a hockey market. He did well there, and Montreal's a hockey market. There's no doubt about it. But is there a more pressure-packed city, more of a pressure-packed environment than Montreal, right? And a lot of people said, well, hopefully they don't say he's going to be the savior, because that'll be even more pressure on him. But yesterday he soaked it all in. The crowd noise, the ovation, the applause. He said after the game that he felt awful. Some of his teammates said that he was telling them that he had little cardio and he needed to get back up to speed. But he also said that he didn't know what he didn't deserve the ovation that he got. But you know what? They gave it to him, and they gave him a pretty good ovation. He touched on the crowd, and he also touched on some work that he's done with some professionals in the last year or so. Listen to both.
That was like the most outrageous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's like, I don't deserve this, like not at all. But no, it'll be something for sure I'll remember forever. Like that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Just getting that welcome, even early on when I came here from the fans and from the city overall, and now obviously coming back to playing, it was just pretty humbling. Like I said on the ice, and just grateful and just thankful to be here. Talked with my therapist about this, and I was a little nervous yesterday, and just decided that, you know, putting this jersey on today, it's an achievement after everything, and everything that comes after that is a plus. Doesn't matter how it goes. I'm not gonna have a bad game because you know, I've worked too hard to get back to playing and put this jersey on. So yeah, it was better than I expected, but there's still some work to do.
There you have it. Patrik Laine openly talking about, you know what, I talked about my therapist and, you know, trying to deal with the anxiety before the game, during the game, and all that stuff. And here's a guy who's done a lot of work on himself. And look, one game doesn't make a season, but it's obviously a very encouraging start.
There's no question about it. I don't know if you can see what my cup says there.
It says joy.
That's what Patrik Laine has in his life now. And, you know, when you think about, you know, going out and being such a gifted athlete, and certainly Patrik Laine is that. But if you don't have joy in what you're doing, and you don't feel that you're in a place mentally where you can enjoy what you're doing, it becomes really hard, regardless of how skilled you are or what you've done in the past or how much money you make. And for Patrik Laine, I think he's just an unbelievable person to be able to talk about getting help. He went and got help for his knee. So if you need help for your knee, you go and you find professionals to get your knee back to 100% so you can go and perform. Well, now to go and talk to your therapist, to get to mental health professionals to help you perform in that area, just as important. And I think that for Patrik to talk openly about it, to let the message is so important for other people to hear, that like this is something to celebrate. We need to celebrate the path that Patrik Laine was on and where he's found himself with that joy in his life and his joy playing again. And he said, I'm not going to have bad games. You know, there might be games where he's not as good as he wanted to be, but I love the fact that he said, I'm not going to have bad games. And it's wonderful that we can now look at that as an integral part of being successful and being able to do what you love to do and do it well. And pressure. I've watched Patrik Laine play in big games. I mean, Finland's a hockey mad country. That World Junior Tournament in 2016, I mean, there was a lot of pressure there. I mean, some of the greatest Finnish players of all time were there watching and cheering them on. And he's performed. But you perform with a different smile on your face, a different joy in your heart when you're free and you're in a good place mentally. I think that's where Patrik finds himself. And I think that's great news for the Montreal Canadiens.
Cheers to that, my friend. Cheers to that. All right. That shot, it was yesterday, and I recall this story last night with Pierre Maguire on the Habs postgame show here on the Sick Podcast. Was yesterday early morning on my radio show on BPM Sports. I said I don't remember when was the last time I was as excited to watch a game so I could see the Montreal Canadiens power play. A power play that has Nick Suzuki, the best passer on the team, at least best forward passer. Cole Caufield, an elite goal scorer on pace for 50-plus goals this season. Patrik Laine, a quarterback in Lane Hudson, who is definitely now on the first wave of the power play. and a player who was picked first overall in Juraj Slafkovsky, a Canadiens power play that was already good going into the game. And, I had so many people come back to me and say, come on, Laine hasn't been good in several years and he's just coming back. You don't lose that shot, Craig. He hasn't lost that shot.
And he's not going to lose it. It's a gift. It's a gift that he has that very few players. He can score from 40 feet. And stop and think about what that means. That means that you have a shot that can flat out beat a goaltender. That is a rare quality for NHL players. As good as goal scorers can be, very few of them have it. And Patrik Laine named to Team Finland. That's a weapon. Rantanen has it. They have these weapons where they can score from 40 feet and 45 feet. The other thing that it's going to do, Nick Suzuki and Lane Hudson they got brilliant vision. They got brilliant passing skills. And then you have Cole Caufield, and you have Patrik Laine, and then you have Slafkovsky with the size. It opens up the ice for the Montreal Canadiens on the power play. Because now, as a defending team on the penalty kill, who are you going to mark? Are you going to mark Caufield? Are you going to mark Laine? What are you going to do? How do you? And so now opponents can't just sit down and go, let's take Cole Caufield's shot away from him. And if you want to take Patrik Laine's shot away from him, we got to deal with Cole Caufield. So when I sit down and I see how you can become what I call a multifaceted attack on the power play, the Montreal Canadiens have it now. And again, the guy at the point in Lane Hudson, Suzuki, who can work the play from anywhere on the ice, and then the two superb goal scorers. Teams better not be taking penalties against the Montreal Canadiens, because this is now a huge weapon.
On 5-on-5, unfortunately, the line of Doc, Slafkovsky, and Laine did not score a goal. Laine's goal came on the power play. As a matter of fact, at 5-on-5, they gave up a goal. But here's Marty St. Louis asked about that line, Doc, Laine, and Slafkovsky.
I feel those three they haven't played together. I thought they looked good tonight. I know it's one game, but I think it's something to build off, and they're going to have to, repeat that and keep getting better together every game, and we're trying to stay even keel with it. We're very happy with what the result we got tonight. We weren't perfect, but we played a good game. I think the intentions of the guys were good. The work was good. The work ethic was good, and with that line, it's a great, to me, it's a good first game, but I'd rather have a good first game than a bad one. And I don't think I would overreact with a bad one, and I'm not going to overreact with a good one. It's just one game, but I'm happy with, the way it looked.
Yeah, that's a real good quote from Marty there. I like that. And so I mentioned this also to Pierre last night. You're going to have fun with this, actually. And if there's someone who's going to know, I would think that if there's someone who's going to know Montreal Canadiens hockey history, one would be Craig Button, and the other one would probably be Liam McGuire. But I don't have Liam here in front of me, so I'm going to ask you this. Yesterday, it's the first time that I can recall a line drafted by other teams or the Canadiens, first, second, and third. Slafkovsky first, Laine second, Kirby Dach third. At no point do I recall a Montreal Canadiens line ever having three players, the forward position on a line, being drafted first, second, third. And the best I can come up with was about 10 or 11 years ago, where the Canadiens had a first, a third, and a third at one point playing together on the same line. I'll ask you, A, do you know who that is? And B, can you ever recall a first, second, and third ever?
I don't recall a first, second, and third ever. I don't. So now I got to think about first, third, and third for the Montreal Canadiens drafted by other teams.
Yeah, one of them was drafted by the Canadiens.
So you said 11 years ago?
10, 11. I would say about 10 years ago.
10 years ago. So, you got to go through, you got to try to think who they would have been. I'm at a loss right now. I would need more time to think about it. So I'm just going I'm going to defer to you and say that I don't have enough time, and I don't want to waste our time.
Yeah, look, it's not an easy question, by the way. It's not an easy question because there's one guy that a lot of people actually forget played for the Montreal Canadiens. And pardon me, it wasn't even 10 or 11 years ago. It was about, look at that, it was about 5 years ago.
Well, then one of them's Kotkaniemi. So that's why I asked you about 10 to 11. So yeah, KK was definitely one of those players drafted third overall by the Montreal Canadiens. Now we got to think about the first and the other third overall pick. Alex Galchenyuk was one. I'm going to say he was drafted third overall. Now we got to think who the first overall pick was. Yeah, played with those guys. And
no, so it's Galchenyuk's not there. He was actually traded. So it was Kotkaniemi with Jonathan Drouin and Ilya Kovalchuk.
Oh, yeah. I would have forgot about Ilya.
Yeah, Kotkaniemi with Ilya Kovalchuk and Jonathan Drouin. Isn't that something, eh?
Yeah,
But,
it is, yeah.
Yeah, no, so that's that one. But look, that line, we've been talking about Kirby Dach at center for a while here, and I don't think he's convinced anyone yet that he's a center, other than the fact that everyone loves the fact that he's about 6'4", 225. But talk to me why you think that line can work or won't work, and where do you see Patrik Laine in this lineup?
Well, let me just talk about that line. That's 19 feet, 2 inches of length and about 675 pounds of weight. I kind of like the idea. I like what Marty was saying about, putting them together. They're big, they're strong. You know that. So, yeah, and let's see what they can do together as they get a feel for playing with one another. What I do know, and I say this, and what I do know this, and hopefully Montreal can find us. I think they're hoping to find us, and we'll find out in time if it's true. But when you have a line that's that big, that can skate, that can handle the puck, that can contribute offensively, that will be a headache for opponents. So if I'm Marty St. Louis and he said, I'm not going to overreact one way or the other, what I am going to do is, as long as they keep showing those encouraging signs, I'm staying with it, because I'm also taking pressure off of Suzuki and Caufield, who have carried this offense to this point in the season far beyond what anybody should expect them to have to carry. It speaks to their ability. I mean, it's no accident that Alex Newhook, not because of anything he did, but because he got put up on that line and the way they drive play, that Alex's game is picked up somewhat. Because on his own, it wasn't very good. And it speaks to how great, let me say this, great Suzuki and Caufield have been for the Canadiens. If you can get a line of Slav and Dach and Laine, boy, would that be a boon for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, and until then, we're going to wait for Ivan Demidov, who's going to join the Canadiens next year, and that power play is going to get even better. Marty St. Louis.
Demidov, let me just say, you just put Demidov right with Suzuki and Caufield. That's where you put him.
Oh, really, eh?
Yeah, that's what I would do. If that line can show me that big line, that big second line, and but Suzuki and Caufield drive play, put Demidov with them. Wow. I'm running, baby. I'm running.
Season tickets. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, Renaud Lavoie put out an interesting stat yesterday, and that is, it's the first time that Marty St. Louis, as coach of the Montreal Canadiens, has had an injury-free lineup. First time in his 226th game. St. Louis was asked about that last night.
I felt the depth of our lineup tonight, and I think when you have that depth, you feel you can come in waves. You're not so worried about matching so much. You can kind of get more in a rhythm. You still need to make decisions, where certain face-offs are on the ice and stuff, but I just felt I wasn't so preoccupied at trying to match.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that Marty made a great point. He uses the word match. Sometimes what you're doing too is just making sure you don't put players out that are going to get overwhelmed. You're trying to, and I don't want to use the word protect, but you want to make sure that you're not putting players in spots where you can be taken advantage of. So as a coach, and Marty's in this mindset, you're not thinking about the next shift. You're thinking, okay, that's my next shift. Okay, what happens after that shift and that shift after? And that's the thinking, right? The other part that with having a healthy lineup, and he used the word waves and rhythm. Yeah, and that's what you want. You get players scaled up the lineup, they can step in for stretches of time, but it's not their proper place. Coaches know it, players know it. So the fact that they can have players in the right spots and then they can get into that rhythm and have those waves, that's how you become a good team. That's what you need to have to be a good team. That's why when we just talked about Slafkovsky and Dach and Laine, and that's very unique. Think about around the NHL. What teams, if any, have a line like that with that type of size and weight? And if they can go out and be a really good line together and show the things, Montreal will have something very unique.
Yeah, speaking of Marty, he talked about having his team tighten up defensively, and that clearly was a very good effort last night. Look, the game could have gone either way. Even the Islanders could have won that game last night. I think Samuel Montembeault, who was selected as the third star, was the best player in that game. I can understand why they gave Laine the first star, but I think Montembeault was the best player in that game for the Canadiens. I think Nick Suzuki was awesome too. He had a goal and an assist, including the game winner in overtime. I think Mike Matheson, who had an assist and played over 24 minutes, I thought he was amazing. Coming off of his worst game as a Montreal Canadian, where he was a -4 in Boston, I thought Matheson was absolutely tremendous last night. But back to St. Louis, who made a lot of good moves, one of which was putting Christian Dvorak to start the overtime to take the face-off, and he won it. Canadiens got possession of the puck. They didn't score on that possession, granted, but it was still the right thing to do. And once Dvorak won the face-off, boom, he went straight to the bench, and Cole Caufield came on. By the way, I didn't want to talk about the Islanders, but I don't like Patrick's team. I really don't. I mean, I'm taking a look at teams that are rebuilding, and I'm taking a look at teams that are very strong and they can go for a cup. And I think his team is in no man's land. And I get it. Patrick didn't have a million teams or a million, job offers in the National Hockey League. He had one. There was only one general manager that, doesn't struggle with any insecurity whatsoever to say, you know what, I'm going to hire Patrik Laine. I'm not going to be worried about it. Only one. It was Lou Lamoriello. So Patrick couldn't get picky either. I'm not crazy about that team. Craig?
Yeah, what I would say is that if I look at the team, and that they could very well be in the playoffs, number one. I think Patrick's an excellent coach. They have excellent goaltending. Their blue line is really good. Where they and Barzell's out.
Yeah.
Where they struggle is on the offensive side of things. You're one of the lowest scoring teams in the league. So that's the area of focus where they have to be.
And
they
special teams.
Special teams is talent, right?
Yes.
So you need talent, and on the power play and everything. And again, I don't think I'm saying anything that Lou and Patrick aren't aware of. But when I watch the team play, I think they have some good team play. There's areas that they have to get better in and whatnot, but they also are in a place where they know they need more skill. Let's not forget Anthony Duclair, who they signed in the offseason, was going to help that skill. And then Matt Barzell's out. Like we talk about injuries, like Patrick hasn't had a full lineup there too. You start to look at Anders Lee, who's having a good season. There's a lot of talk. Brock Nelson, is he going to be traded? Bo Horvat's a good player. They got to add more of good offensive players and get their players back healthy. I don't think the team, they stay in games. They're competitive. Patrick had a comment last week where he said, my players, they play hard. And I really believe that they're committed to playing hard for one another and for what we're trying to do. That's a first step. And I don't think that anybody's got illusions about the New York Islanders, but now you got to find a way to improve it.
A shout out to Fruiterie Dillard, a family-run business and mainstay in the LaSalle community since 1995. I went to see them on Saturday, and Yellow went to see them on Saturday, and we both went to support local and a family-owned business. That's exactly what we did, and that's what you should do too. They're proud to continue to offer the same fresh foods and flavors they have for the past 30 years. Fresh fruits and produce delivered daily, an ever-expanding assortment of deli meats, cheeses, and sandwiches. You'll find personalized service and friendly faces that make you feel like family. I know I feel that way, and once again, that's why I've been going there since they opened up in 1995. Fruiterie Dillard. And go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen and click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offers available for new customers only, and terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario, and you must be 18 years of age and older. Please play responsibly. All right, okay. I think we can get to the Four Nations tourney, and let's bring up Team Sweden very quickly if we can. And here you go. Forwards, Philip Forsberg, Adrian Kempe, Joel Eriksson Ek, Gustav Nyquist, Lucas Raymond, Elias Lindholm, Victor Arvidsson, Elias Pettersson, Jesper Bratt, William Karlsson, William Nylander, Leo Carlsson, Mika Zibanejad. On defense, Rasmus Andersson, Matthias Ekholm, Jonas Brodin, Rasmus Dahlin, Gustav Forsling, Erik Karlsson, and Victor Hedman. Man, I like their defense. In goal, Jacob Markstrom, Philip Gustafsson, and Linus Ullmark. It's a pretty solid team. Let's keep it up there for a bit. Pretty solid, eh?
Oh, there's no question it's solid. That blue line is as good a blue line as anybody will put out. Like that, it is that good. And
Oh, yeah.
Erik Karlsson right now is their seventh defenseman. Make no mistake about it. He's their seventh defenseman based on how he's played. So can Erik pick up his game? We know he can. Can Erik be elite? We know he can. But the reason I say that is that speaks to how good that blue line is. Philip Gustafsson got to be in the Vezina Trophy conversation. Like, that's how well he's played for the Minnesota Wild. We know Ullmark's already won a Vezina, and Markstrom's been in the hunt, so that's good. Up front, you know, they got scoring, they got speed, they got quickness. They have a lot of ability, and then they have really good two-way players. You know, I don't know how many people know how good Joel Eriksson Ek is. Joel Eriksson Ek is good offensively, he's good defensively, and he's hard to play against. Well, you know what assignments he's going to get? He's going to get all the hard ones. He's going to get McDavid McKinnon. He's going to get Eichel Matthews. And Joel Eriksson Ek, Barkov, he's right up for that challenge. So you need those types of players to be able to compete in a best-on-best. I think Sweden's set up very nicely to be a highly competitive team. And could they win this tournament? Yeah, they could.
Finland. Sebastian Aho, Joel Armia, Alexander Barkov, Michael Granlund, Eric Halla, Rupa Hintz, Capo Kakko, Patrik Laine, Arturi Lehkonen, Anton Lundell, Itula Sörnin, Mikko Rantanen, Toivo Teravainen, Jan Hakanpää, Miro Heiskanen, Esa Lindell, Nico Mikkola, Olli Mata, Rasmus Ristolainen, Juuso Välimäki, and in goal, Kevin Lankinen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and Jussi Saros. Look, the game is played on the ice and it's on paper, and there's obviously, you know, Alexander Barkov is a handful, and Sebastian Howe is having a great season, and he's a really good centerman as well with the Carolina Hurricanes. Mikko Rantanen is an elite power forward in the game, and look, that's a good team too, and Miro Heiskanen's a real good defenseman, but I like this team a little less than Sweden.
Yeah, I can't make a counter argument against what you just said. But here's the point I'll make about Finland. They got size on the walls. They got a really good blue line. And you know, you talk about elite players. Sebastian Aho's elite. Barkov's elite. Rantanen is elite. Rupert Hintz is a really, really good center. Michael Granlund's having a fantastic season. And the one thing that I can say with definitive confidence is that when players go back to represent Finland and wear Suomi on the front of their jersey,
yeah,
the whole becomes a whole lot greater than the sum of the parts. They will be a hard team to play against. Guaranteed.
No doubt about it. Once again, this podcast is taped right before Canada and USA came out with their rosters, but you know, there's been some leaks, and so we're going to talk about 3 Montreal Canadiens players. One of them who unofficially is on the team, Samuel Montembeault, based on what we're hearing, is on Team Canada. Based on what we're hearing, Nick Suzuki is not on Team Canada. And based on what we're hearing unofficially, Cole Caufield is not. And once again, when you're going to be watching this, just past 10 o'clock, it's all going to be official at that point. But if they're actually on it, well, we covered ourselves by saying unofficially, right? But Craig, I know there's a lot of talent. I know that a lot of these countries like USA and Canada can put together 2 teams. And you know what? Their second team that they could put together could probably end up meddling, put it that way, like if there was a 1, 2, 3. You have to try and sell me on the fact that the third best goal scorer in the game right now doesn't make Team USA. Cole Caufield.
Well, I'm not going to try to sell you because I can't sell you. You know, there's just no way. And I think even like as a 13th forward, you know, Cole gives you an opportunity to bring an element to your team that there's not a lot of. I mean, Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk are going to create goals in a different way. Matthews is brilliant. We know that. Eichel's a passer. And Jack Hughes is a playmaker. And when you think about Caufield and trying to fit him in, and this is my thinking on it, is that, you're coming to a tournament, give your coach another weapon. I think by having another weapon and the goal scoring that Cole Caufield can bring to you, even if it's only in a particular area, that can become beneficial in a short tournament. So I would have had him on my team. I did have him on my team where I put players on. And so you're right. But now Bill Guerin and his group are going to be judged on, did you win or did you not? Because it's not about, we ended up finishing second. No, you're not going into this tournament to say, we finished second. It's win or you didn't. And if you didn't, you're going to be judged on the decisions you made and where you could have made them better.
Team Canada has, Connor McDavid at center ice. They have Sidney Crosby at center ice. They have Braden Point at center ice. Anthony Cirelli, Nathan McKinnon's a centerman who's going to be playing wing. Sam Reinhart can play both, but centerman who's going to be playing wing, but he can play both. Sam Bennett's a centerman who's likely going to be playing wing on this team. It was going to be tough for Nick Suzuki. It was, and he misses out.
Really? You're picking Seth Jarvis over Nick Suzuki?
There
is not a person on this planet, that's going to convince me that is a choice that should have been made. Okay? Like, there is no way in my worldview and in my view of both those players, and Seth is a good player. He's not a better player than Nick Suzuki.
Not right now. Not right now. He's not. No.
Wait a second. This isn't about the future.
No, you're right.
It's about right now.
You're right. You're right.
In 3 years or 5 years or 8 years' time. Right now, he's not a better player than Nick Suzuki. That is not, and Colton Parayko is not a better player than Evan Bouchard. So there we go. There's my two big beefs, and I'm hearing about Montembeault. Montembeault won a gold medal for Canada at the World Championships. Don't tell me he doesn't have a record of accomplishment. But there's no bloody way that I am not having Nick Suzuki on my team.
I'm happy.
Bloody way.
I'm happy that Montembeault is there because, Aiden Hill and Jordan Binnington have won a Stanley Cup, and Samuel Montembeault is not. But I'm going to tell you what, Montembeault's statistics, his stats right now, they're in the same ballpark as the two other guys. But if Montembeault was playing for St. Louis instead of Montreal or playing for Vegas, I bet you he has better stats than those guys. We'll never know. And I wouldn't be surprised. It all depends here because Doug Armstrong's the GM of Team Canada, and he's a GM of the St. Louis Blues and Jordan Binnington. But I wouldn't be surprised if an equal shot is given to everyone and see how it goes, that Samuel Montembeault ends up outplaying those two other guys. I wouldn't be surprised.
Which is fine. And that's what you want. You want competition, right? And Sam winning the World Championships and leading Canada to a gold medal, like that is a significant accomplishment. So I'm going to ask you this question. Patrick Roy, who had won 3 Stanley Cups leading into 1998.
Yeah.
He lost in a shootout. I'm not blaming Patrick, right? I mean, who ended up being the goaltender in 2010? Like, it was Roberto Luongo. He never won a Stanley Cup, but he's Carey Price, great goaltender. He never. So we're going to just put it on Stanley Cup.
Yeah, you're right about that. So
Steve Yzerman told me this, and I'll never forget it, and I've kept it in mind. And let me just be very clear. I think it's a false narrative to talk about this Stanley Cup. They won. I asked Steve Yzerman prior to the 2010 Olympics, where he was the manager of that Olympic team. I said, how important is Stanley Cup winning experience going to be when you're selecting a team and considering players? This is what Steve said to me. He said, well, it would be nice to be able to just look at Stanley Cup winning experience. And if everybody had it, that would be really lovely. It would give us something that was, really significant. He goes, but we don't have that luxury. We don't have everybody that's won a Stanley Cup. He says, so what we're looking for is players that have had success at different levels in different situations and have won. And he said to me, he goes, Craig, I won the Stanley Cup in 1997. It was my first Stanley Cup. He goes, there was nothing bigger. nothing bigger than winning a Stanley Cup in front of all that. He said, but I remember later on that night having the same feeling I had when we won the Pee Wee Championship when he was in Ottawa. The feeling of being part of a team and the feeling that I contributed. He said, so we're looking for those experiences. He said it would be lovely if everybody had Stanley Cup winning experience, but they don't.
So explain to me now, because when I was talking about Suzuki, I was talking about Suzuki as the starting centerman or winger on that team. Seth Jarvis is an extra. I totally agree with you. Right now, Seth Jarvis is not a better player than Nick Suzuki. He's not a better goal scorer than Nick Suzuki. He's not a better playmaker than Nick Suzuki. He's not a better point producer than Nick Suzuki. He's not a better 200-foot player than Nick Suzuki. He's not bigger than Nick Suzuki. He's not stronger than Nick Suzuki. So how is this? Like, so somebody is seeing something in Seth Jarvis that they don't see in Suzuki. What is it that they're seeing in him that they're not seeing in Suzuki? And I'm a little bit surprised in a way, because I thought that John Cooper was the president of the Nick Suzuki fan club, because when they played each other in the Stanley Cup final, he had some words for Suzuki, and he basically told Suzuki he was going to be a star. Nick Suzuki had 77 points last year. He was top 15 among centermen in the National Hockey League, 4 goals, top 15 in the National Hockey League for points, top 15 in offensive zone puck possession time. And this year, Nick Suzuki is on pace to pick up more than a point per game. So what is somebody seeing in Jarvis that they're not seeing in Suzuki? You don't know, eh?
I have no idea. I can't speak for them. But I can speak to Nick Suzuki, and I can say with every confidence, Nick Suzuki is a better player than Seth Jarvis. And, you know, like, okay, so what, Nick? And listen, there is no place that I am not playing Nathan MacKinnon on the right wing. I am playing him right in the middle of the ice where he can have more space to move around, and that. I do not want Nathan MacKinnon trapped on the wing, on the wall. I want him in the middle of the ice. Period. Full stop. Mm-hmm. I want him to be a focal point in the middle of that. So I'm not putting him on the wing. Maybe that's what they think. Maybe that's where it's at. That's fine. And Nick Suzuki, like I said, Seth Jarvis is a good player, but he's not better than Nick Suzuki. And and I got Nick Suzuki on my team. Listen, I know that Anthony Cirelli and Brandon Hagel play for John Cooper. They're good players, right?
Yeah.
They're not better than Nick Suzuki either.
Wow. I think we should end it on that point.
Okay.
Hagel came on pretty good. He's won
Hagel's
Stanley Cup.
a good player.
Yeah.
I'm not here to say that they're not good players.
Of course, they're all good players.
I'm not saying they're not. I had Brandon Hagel on my team. I had it like Anthony Cirelli. Nick Suzuki is a better player than those guys. I will hold that position for a long time. And I did on TSN when we did our show on the Team Canada selections.
He is a better player than those guys. You're right. Bottom line, who's the better player? He's the better player than those guys. He is. Craig Button, always an amazing podcast. Thanks so much, my man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, there you have it. He is TSN hockey analyst and the director of scouting. Special thanks to all of you for watching on YouTube and on Facebook. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do so. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place, right after the Montreal Canadiens and the Nashville Predators. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good night.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBita.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.